Hi, my name is Rachel, and in this research presentation I will be discussing the importance of vocals in the Greek chorus. First of all, I would like to explain the role and importance of chorus within Greek tragedy. To start with, the number of actors in a chorus vary. Sometimes there would be as little as 10 actors, and sometimes there would be as much as 50. So it all varies. There's no set number. And their lines consist of comments on what is happening in the scenes throughout the play, through song and dance and chanting, or just the simple recitation. The chorus's role was originally for praising gods like Dionysus, and they were also originally meant just to distract the audience, while the actors, which in that day and age there was only one actor, and then later on there was only 3 actors on stage. So they were used as a distraction so that those actors could go back and get ready for the next scene. They also have the same costumes, and they act as the same people, and they also often wear masks. So a good example would be this picture right here. All 6 of these actors of the chorus are wearing the same thing and wearing masks. Another example is down here. These are different masks that they could wear. So these are 2 good examples. Now, what does the chorus have to do? What does voice have to do with chorus? What are the important factors of voice in chorus? So, to start with, to get the chorus's point across, they have to do a lot of things. First of all, the chorus will sometimes, like I said, speak, or they will chant it, or they will sing it, or they will dance it. There are different ways that they can say their lines. The chorus also has a kind of authority, and this helps them grasp the audience's attention and tell them that it's time to move their attention from the actors to the chorus. So this is really important for every chorus to have that kind of authority in their voice. The voice in the chorus also needs to be expressive, again to grasp the audience's attention, but also to help the audience comprehend what's going on in the scene or what's about to happen. The chorus also needs to discover their voice, so they need to figure out whether their voice is supposed to sound sweet or dark, or if it should sound respectful or vulgar. It all depends on the mood of the scene of the play. Actors of a chorus must notice and pay attention to the rhythm or the mood of a play to ensure that their rhythm is the same, to ensure that they're on the same page with the play. For example, a group of actors of a chorus can't just come, skipping into a play or a scene, all happy and singing and making it sound so beautiful, when they're skipping into a scene that just had death in it, or where the play itself is dark and evil and mysterious, and has nothing to do with being joyful. Jumping in and acting as if and making your voice sound pretty, it's not the same. It has to be the same as the play. You have to be on the same page with the rest of the play. The elements of the chorus are organized in 6 different parts. So 1, rhythm, so the movement or sound in a pattern. Rhyme, so, rhyme, he began to cry, she asked her why, whatever. Then tempo, so the rate of movement. The 4th one is volume, so the degree of sound intensity or audibility. So a good example of this is actually the first line in Love of the Nightingale, when the male chorus says war. So if the male chorus were to say that word war loudly and intensely, it'll grasp the audience's attention, which is great because that's the first line in the whole play. So by using their volume and just raising their volume really high and really loud, it grasps the audience's attention, and it kind of says, I'm an authority, listen to me, war, like I've got your attention, listen to me. So volume is a big thing. And volume also has to do with the next two elements, crescendo, which is your voice gradually increases in volume, or decrescendo, when it gradually decreases in volume. So this could be seen in pretty much any line, not only lines of a chorus, but for example, if we were to take a line from Love of the Nightingale, from the Greek chorus, one of them say, "It was better that way." If you were to say it with crescendo, where you go, "It was better that way," it sounds very strong and very like I'm pushing that on you. I'm pushing on that line on you as an audience, and I'm saying that it was better that way. You can't argue with it. But if I were to use decrescendo and say, "It was better that way," it sounds almost mysterious, and maybe the audience could be thinking, is she implying something? Is she foretelling something? Is she trying to give us a hint? Like, it was better that way, if you know what I mean. So something like that. So it all depends on how you say it and what element you use. There are different techniques on how you can, how the chorus can say their lines. So for example, one technique is antiphon, and this is splitting the text into different parts for different groups of the chorus, for them to speak it or chant it or sing it. And then also solo lines. This is when you section off lines of a play to individuals to help enhance their performance. So like certain sections go to certain people. And then line around, when only one line is given to one actor at a time. So one line, the first line goes to one actor, the second line goes to another actor, the skip, they never get more than 2 lines at one time. So all of these techniques and methods on speaking help the chorus reach its goal to grasp the audience's attention and help them better understand the context of the play. Now, a good example of using vocals with authority and applying other techniques to the chorus's lines can be seen in the play Love of the Nightingale in the first scene. So I'm going to perform the first a section of the first scene where the Greek chorus is talking, and then I will analyze what I did at the end. So there are 2 actors of the chorus in this scene. So all I'm going to do is switch from one mask to another to show when I'm switching characters. We begin here because no life has ever been untouched by war. Everyone loves to discuss war. And yet its outcome, death, is shrouded by silence. Wars make death acceptable. The gods are less cruel if it is man's fault. See, it's not very long, but I did use at least 4 different techniques in just those lines. So to start with, there was a bit of rhythm in that performance, because there I used line around, and I used where each line was given to a different character, a different actor, or given to one and then the other. So, and each line was generally the same amount. It was they were generally the same length. So there was kind of rhythm going back and forth there, and I used line around. And then looking at specific lines, so looking at the first line, I used crescendo, and I started off low, and then I went higher to emphasize the last part of that line. And then the second line, the line is, everyone loves to discuss war. And I thought this was kind of important, kind of like I should kind of stick that out there. So I tried to use an authoritative voice, which is a bit of the louder voice, stronger. So I tried to do that. And then another example is the last line when I say, the gods are less cruel if it is man's fault. So I say this a bit slower to kind of separate it from the rest of the lines so that the audience can stop and say, now why did she go slower on that? Is there a reason? Like, is she foretelling something? Is she trying to hint at something? So that's the reason why I did that. So, what I learned from these techniques is the importance of voice in a chorus has a lot to do with the relationship that a chorus actually ends up having with an audience. So the chorus are the ones who inform the audience, who tell them what's going on or what's about to happen. So I thought that was really interesting how voice plays a part in that. One thing that I didn't know was that at the beginning, the chorus was only meant for, a distraction or to praise the gods. So just to see how the chorus has grown and modernized over the years is really cool to see that it went from just a distraction or a praise to actually having a relationship with the audience and being such a help to the scene, because they are really helpful and they are really important to every scene of a play. So something that I kept thinking about whenever I was researching and I was kind of making connections in my head was a play that I had done in my old school that my role was a narrator, and it was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I was the narrator. And a lot of my lines, I realized that I said them in a specific way to either grasp the audience's attention. So sometimes I would use an authoritative voice to be like, "Hello, look at me," and I'd also use a loud voice. I'd use my volume, or also I'd use different ways of sectioning off my lines to kind of put emphasis on what I was trying to say. So I realized that there were connections between narrators and Greek choruses, and I know that narrators and Greek choruses are not the same, but they do have similar aspects, and so I thought that was cool that I was able to connect those two. So to end, as a learner, I discovered a lot of new reasons why chorus and speaking go hand in hand in helping create a better performance for the audience. Thank you.